boys, we are live. Quickly sending this to the relevant people. And here we have the lovely number 99 Lexus, Daniel. We've got Daniel driving the Lexus today for a 2-hour special at Spa. It must be said. Just quickly sending this to the NXTGEN boys. And that's enough for Daniel. We're jumping on board with Kobe, who I believe is currently leading the series at the moment, but I will let you know. That was a beautiful line through there. The Pearly Sauce doing its job through Eau Rouge. Alrighty. Very nearly done. Okey-doke. Ian, how are you, good sir? Very nice to see you. Just showing out the social medias as we got live. We've got HughHatrick joining us later for some legendary co-commentary for this season 3 finale for NXTGEN. I wish I had my blue light glasses. I'm gonna have to turn these lights down, nevertheless. Hey, we must continue. So we have 30 minutes left to go of free practice. So within that time, I'm going to introduce you to the current NXTGEN series standings. And my God, have we got an incredible race today. We've got 2 hours worth of efforts that amongst the qualifying and free practice and the fatigue that the drivers will be feeling. We've got a 24-hour in-game clock, so it's going to be nice to see the drivers drive around with some lights on, and we'll get some in-car shots as well. So you can see the UV lights light up the inside of these GT3 cars. Daiko, hope you are well, brother. I am very grateful for what you have done for the TMK444 liveries. It's genuinely incredible work. Hopefully get more people aware of what you do. But Lely with a 218, just with free practice. I'm sure that these drivers are holding off their true pace before qualifying sets off. Kobe currently in second position, half a tenth, very close, is just under a tenth, is the Professor. 2 tenths quicker than Stewart and 3 tenths quicker than Elliott. Professor's most certainly been growing as a driver. He was always a great driver, but since I've known him, he's definitely up there with the 1, 2, 3, 4s. So he's going to be one to watch out for today. He's very aware of the situation in the series standings, so it's going to be interesting to see what he will do. Stewart was struggling last time. I think the Professor gave Stewart the position, but ultimately the Professor had the pace and took that position back. But nevertheless, it's left us to these current standings. And the number 46 Bentley coming up to turn 1, first gear, camber goes down, a little bit of a dip right on the apex of turn 1, and then it is a case of unleashing all 600 horsepower down to the roller coaster that is Eau Rouge, which I'm sure is going to claim victim to a few today, and with 2 hours worth of racing to go, it's going to be interesting to see exactly how these drivers fare today, especially as the long haul is needed to be considered. So I'm just going to leave you the sights and sounds for a little bit longer of the GT3 Classic for the Next Gen Season 3 final. We've got a big race ahead of us. I'm going to conserve as much of that energy as I can. And yes, we will be back just before qualifying starts. Enjoy, my friends. Of course, any questions, please ask in the chat. Anything you need to know, anything you want to say. I will be running through the standings, but please don't be shy. Say hello, say what we need to say. It looks like the number 40 Bentley is going into the pits. Professor being in third position. Luke and the pit connoisseur. Currently 1.5 tenths quicker than Hempy. The identical Lexus is Daniel over 2 seconds off the pace in free practice, but we'll see what we can pull out of the bag as we close towards qualifying. And like I mentioned, I will see you soon. Well, hello. Guess who's back? Your boy TMK commentating for the final round here at Spa for a 2-hour special. Flashing yellow drive there, and of course we're going to jump on board with the number 7 Ferrari, and I'm quickly going to treat you folks to the current standings for NXTGEN's Season 3 World Tour in the GT3 cars, and we are on round 15 today, which is the final, and we have found ourselves on a roller coaster of a track for 2 hours worth of racing here at Spa. So I'm going to run through the standings with you. Currently leading the NXTGEN Season 3 GT3 World Tour is the 46 Bentley, as we see him exit Eau Rouge there on to the Kemmel Straight. And Stewart in the 46 Bentley, currently with 240 points, leading the NXTGEN Season 3 GT3 World Tour by 7 points to second place, which is of course the beast from the east, Kobe in the number 7 Ferrari. And 2 points separate P2 to P3. And funnily enough, P2 and P3 in provisional qualifying, even though no one's put a lap time down, is Elliot. Now if that's not commentator's curse, I don't know what is. That was beautiful though. If anything, that was really, really nice to watch. There you go. Get yourself back out there, buddy. You've got 2 hours, don't worry. But Elliot, with 231 points, 2 points behind Kobe, is the number 44 Audi. And we're just over 15 minutes left to go. We've got a 2-minute 20-second average lap time, so 6 to 7 laps maximum here for qualifying. And I do remember when I was watching the British GT3 at Spa this year, they had 3 10-minute qualifying sessions, and that's real life, so these guys should feel lucky with all of their 20 minutes of qualifying. But in P4 is Mr. Pincher, who is not here again, which is a shame. I think he might be in chat though. Say hello if you are. Very, very quick dude. I'm sure if he was still racing, he'd be putting an incredible amount of pressure on the top 3. But in P5, which will be taken, certainly P4, is Professor with 192 points, Jamo with 189, Hukan Lukan with 165 points, and Lely with 131 points. Nick with 123, VSpec 117, Kevin 106, Sakim with 101, Hempy with 100, Leafy with 81, Blecky with 48, and Anun with 11 points. And of course we have Anun with us, joining us today for the 2-hour special at Spa, and Jamo in the back, and someone else just leaving the pits. There's a very beautiful looking BMW that Raul has gone for in the 369, and that was Kobe leaving the pits. And we have Leafy. What a pleasure it is to see this legend joining us in that unforgettable chrome green Audi GT3. And with only just under 40 minutes left to go of qualifying, I'm not sure whether position is going to matter too much for 2 hours worth of racing, but I'm sure it will. As anyone knows, motorsport is a cruel game, very similar to mixed martial arts. You know if you're going to get in the ring, you're going to get beat up, but that is just the case of proper GT3 racing. And we have a second co-commentator joining us today. He'll be joining us at 8 o'clock, so in a few minutes, just before the race begins, which is fantastic. And we're going to treat you guys to a special end to the NXTGEN Season 3 GT3 World Tour. And I'm very excited to announce that there will be a Season 4. Moving on from here, we're going to do a little bit of recruitment, find some lovely people that are fast and respectful, clean. But nevertheless, with just over 12 minutes left to go, we've got Lely with a 218.6. That's not bad, but we've got 12 minutes left to go. I'm expecting low 218s. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 217 and maybe even a high 216. Not crossing my fingers with that one, but nevertheless, Kobe's still yet to put a time down, as is Hankin, Sakin, Raoul and Kevin, but Stuart in P2 on the qualifying session. And I'm just going to turn these top lights down because they are hurting my eyeballs. And of course, it's most certainly worth pointing out the Professor. This guy has been running some very fast lap times recently. You can't see me now, can you? Never mind. But we'll see what he can do today. He's got 2 hours to contend with, as has everyone else. But we will see exactly. Yeah, no, you can't see me, can you? I'm going to have to put the blooming lights on. You have ACC, but you're not fast. That's okay. I'm not fast. You don't really need to be fast. That was just more of a, you know, a car thing to say, I suppose. Cars. There we go. Commandeering the red light district effect today. But yep, this guy is most certainly going to be one to watch out for. Is the 69 Ferrari, currently in P4, Kobe in P3, 0.3 of a second away from Lely in the number 9 Bentley. The two Bentleys taking both of the two available grids up at the front. We've got Stuart in P2, Kobe and Professor on grid 2, and in grid 3 provisionally is Jamo and Hukan, Lucan, and NXTGEN's Hankin. Currently P7, nearly a second off the pace, and Kevin in the 34 Lexus, 1.2 off the pace, very close to Hempy, the 99 Lexus, and Blecky a 1.6 off the pace. But this is a long track. It's very difficult to master as well. So it's going to show who's been putting the time down to learn this track. Lely with a 218.684, but can he hold on to that P1 position? No, he cannot. NXTGEN just. Look at that, just over half a tenth of a second, swapping positions on the first row of the grid here for the start at round 15 at Spa. And I'm certain that we're most certainly going to see a few more changes, and Kobe in third position, Hempy now taking that second row, and the Professor now taking that first slot on the third grid. Solid job. Just a tenth off Daniel next door in positions, and Elliot now a second off the pace. 7 minutes left to go, about to cross the start finish line here at Spa. Just increased that time, but also not giving him a position. 999 off the pace. Nick exiting Eau Rouge, making his way down the Camel straight, seeing whether he can push on his 2.5 seconds. And we've got Leafy and Sakin in the pits, and Anun back out on track. Free on Wednesdays, Ian, I'm sure you would be welcome with open arms. I'm going to continue the commentary for the NXTGEN boys. Next season, well, I'm sure there's someone watching this, listening, that can jump in chat. I don't know that there's a definite date, but what I actually have said to the guys that are arranging this is hold off for another 2 weeks or so, just so we can promote it a little bit, because I'm going to continue doing commentary. I enjoy doing commentary for the NXTGEN boys, but we will get back to you on that one. But everyone's very respectful. Back markers know what to do now when the boys are making their way through the packs. And Kobe with a 218, half a tenth quicker than Stewart in the 46 Bentley. Very close to a 217 here at Spa. And we are, what are we on the clock? Not sure what time we are at, but nevertheless, I would imagine conditions are closing towards optimum, meaning the Pirelli Softs can do their job and they can get the fastest time down as they possibly can. Loose end coming a little bit sideways there with the number 7 Ferrari, but he doesn't need to worry too much. And the Professor just knocking Stewart off grid 2 as he makes his way through Eau Rouge in his beautiful pink and purple Arai lid. Just under 4 minutes left to go. 0.441 off Kobe is a very quick time, and just as I said, he's one to watch out for, and I think he's probably going to push today. He needs to just, you know, do what he can do. We've got 2 hours worth of racing to go, and we are very close to that green of the formation lap here for the final of the 2-hour race here at Spa. And it's going to be a cracking race. We've got Kobe, Stewart and Elliott fighting it out for P1 glory. Elliott in P8, and hopefully race pace will differ because it's going to be a fight between Kobe and Stewart as the current leaderboard stand. I'm going to endeavour to get back to you with these questions, Ian, and I will. I don't think safety rating is too much of a concern as long as you're clean. I think that's... I mean, you're a quick dude anyway. You know the crack, you're playing all the time, so you're going to be at that level anyway. But I will get back to you with this, and get back to you with the next start date. But we've got just over 2 minutes left to go of qualifying. In the grid 1, we've got Kobe and the Professor, the 2 Ferraris, knocking the 2 Bentleys off grid 1, putting the 2 Bentleys in grid 2. Stewart next to Lee and Hempy in the Lexus next door to the Ferrari with Jamo, Lucan and Elliott. But we've got just under 2 minutes left to go qualifying. We're going to see exactly what these boys have got left to pull out of the bag. Under the total sign goes the Bentley, and it's going to be an interesting one for the Bentley because the Bentley is a V8 twin turbo. Beautiful car to drive, very oversteering, not very oversteering, but an oversteering in nature, which can be capitalised and used to push those cars around the corners here at Spa. But nevertheless, it doesn't have the fastest top speeds, so I'm going to imagine his rear wing is not going to be doing a lot of downforce, but you can obviously compromise that with a setup leaving the wing on a low downforce setting. Mr. JR Sim Racing, hope you're well, fella. And yeah, Bentley does not have a top end at all, crossing that start finish line, still in P3. And we've got 30 seconds left to go of qualifying, and then we are going to be thrown in to the formation lap of the final 2-hour endurance race here at Spa. And Daniel in P5, so I get ready to take a photo of the standings. So that brings the qualifying session to an end. The boys are still out on track. We've got Kobe, Lily, Lucan, Kevin and Leaf, who's still out on track, able to capitalise on a final lap here at Spa. Kobe in the pits. Next Gen Lager still on a lap. So we'll jump on board for the penultimate corners on the 46 Bentley, currently leading Next Gen Season 3 GT3 World Tour by 7 points ahead of Kobe in the number 7 Ferrari. Whether the Ferrari will have the advantage today, we are going to find out very soon as he traverses his way through the final corner here at Spa, unleashes all of those close to 600 horsepower, crosses that line in P2 for Next Gen's Lager, and it looks like Kobe and Stewart up on grid 1. Also 1 and 2 in the series standings, but swapping position here for the beginning of qualifying. And Hanking able to push his way up to P5, but still a second off the pace and a 0.6 of a second off Stewart's pace, but race pace is different. One incident here today, and that is going to drastically alter where these drivers come out on spot. And of course we've got, I'm assuming, maybe 2 qualifying, not qualifying, pit stops today. If anyone can let me know in chat, that would be awesome. With regards to the Next Gen team, I'm going to assume it's 2 pit stop windows, but nevertheless we've got Kobe. I just need to take a photo of that before it goes off as well. We have Kobe smashing a 218.1, very close to a 217, a very quick time in the apt Ferrari here at Spa, and Stewart 0.4 seconds off, which is a good lap time for the Bentley. Race pace is going to come into it. We've got balance of performance. We've got a 2-hour special today, and it's a final. We've got everything on the line for these boys. We've got Hankin on the 3rd row of the grid behind the Professor, and Lily in the number 9 Bentley. But my good God, are we going to be treated to an incredible race today? I don't know if there's 2 mandatory pit stops. This is what I'm asking, Raoul. Track limits are always fun at Spa. You're most certainly correct there. JR, he was here yesterday in the Bentley, 163 on the straights, 488 Lambo doing 168 plus. They just fly by like they have DRS. Found the camera top right display function better for viewing. Just 1 mandatory, very interesting. So we're going to jump on board with Hempy for the start. And of course we are now on board with Paul the Helicam man, drafted in for the final round of the Next Gen Season 3 GT3 World Tour, and this might be Paul's last ever job for Next Gen's boys. So it's been a pleasure knowing you. Thank you for doing God's work up there in the Helicam. And we'll see Jamo there making his final preparations and jumping onto the road as soon as he can. I'm also curious to whether you jump into drive for the last few seconds, whether that actually increases your tyre temperatures. But nevertheless, we have Hempy, 3rd row of the grid behind Lily in the number 9 racing green Bentley. Don't know whether he's paying homage to Bentley there, but nevertheless. We're going to be treated to an incredible race today, and for all of you boys and girls of all ages joining us today for the final, I'm going to quickly give you a rundown with Next Gen's Lager. Stewart in the 46 Bentley with 240 points, an absolute beast, although he drives his Bentley like it is a literal boat. I know that Bentley's got more in it, but it just goes to show what's capable of just sailing around these courses. Kobe with 233 points, 7 points behind Stewart in the number 46 Bentley, and Hankin 231 points, 2 points off Kobe. So it's those three that we want to be keeping an eye out for today. And of course, we've just had the other legend, HughHatrick, join us in chat for the final today. How are you, Hugh? I'm glad to hear this. Yes, well, I think this is the first time you're going to be commentating for the Next Gen boys, is that correct? Yes. Well, you're going to be treated to some incredible racing. You were going to notice some of the names from TM Cup, from TMK Racing's channel. Some of the boys you're going to be aware of, but there's some very fast boys in here, and we have a 2-hour final today, and we have the number 7 Ferrari, the number 44 Audi, and the number 46 Bentley fighting it out for P1 championship here today. So, indeed, happy days. Well, we've just had the green for the formation lap, and all drivers beginning to warm up those tyre temps, and as promised, we've got 99 Hempy in shot. Yep, go on, Hugh, it's okay. Absolutely, absolutely. And we're going to jump on board with the 99 Lexus for the beginning of this race for everyone watching on stream, and hopefully get everyone in shot. Paul the Helicam man doing what he does with JR Sim Racing. Whereabouts from the UK are you? I am from Grimsby. I am from the northeast of the UK. What about yourself, friend? Don't know whether you mind disclosing where you're from, Hugh, from the UK? Anik. Oh, did they really? Ah, brilliant. Oh, I'm gonna send you that because I can't give you that over. The first letter is on caps locks, just so you know, and then the rest is not on caps locks. So. From Leeds. Well, that's good to know, JR. Don't know, are you? Yeah, they do 3D VR and motion, don't they? Wow. Yeah, they seem like they have a real passion for it, and I did speak to a friend actually when I found out that there was a place like that in Leeds, that you know, you can go down with 6 friends or whatever, and you know, get yourself in VR motion sim and have a race together. Just how awesome is that, you know? I was even saying to everyone in England, you know, we all meet up online and it's great, but maybe we should actually do that and actually have a little bit of a one-day. You can do a one-day series. It's 20 quid to go for like half an hour, but if you wanted a Grand Prix with some of your friends, it's like 180 quid, and you get 3 like hour sessions and with breaks, and you're all on a motion VR. It's like, we should definitely do that. Maybe that even should be the final for you next year. Oh no, we can't. We've got people from abroad the world, haven't we? A UK series. All right. Okay. Ah, you're on now, are you? Happy days. I was just about to say they're just about to come up to the penultimate corner. So we're going to close in on the infamous green, and we're about to see all drivers now begin to line up in the Noah's Ark formation of 2x2, and we are gonna hear thousands of horsepowers unleash down into probably the most scariest corner, in my opinion, in racing and sim racing. Every time I go through Eau Rouge in this game, I tense up. It's such a scary experience, and I'll tell you what, Hugh, I've got mad respect for these boys. If they can do 2 hours and put 2 minute 18 seconds worth of a lap time down for 2 hours without spinning, I've got mad respect. Mad respect. It's hard. Yeah, that's still fast. Well, we've got the green. We've got Kobe in the front, NXTGEN's in P2, the Professor in P3, Lily in P4, and P3 in the season, Elliot Hankin in P5, as we are on board with Daniel in the 99 Lexus, and I think we've got Kevin in the Lexus also following. We've got Bentley and another Lexus in pursuit. Kobe coming into the corner, Stuart in P2. We've got 2 hours worth of racing here to go. We've just had contact, but fortunately no one's come off there between the Bentley and the Lexus. Just going to jump back out onto Stuart, and we've got a drive-through penalty for Kobe and the Professor. That's going to be a jump of the start then. That's going to drastically... their blood's going to be boiling now. And that, I think that's most certainly going to give Stuart in the 46 at Bentley a breath of fresh air, Hugh.
Yes, that's, I can imagine their blood pressure is going to be through the roof. Let's see whether they can hold on to P1 and P3 respectively, but we are going to see the 46 Bentley run away with, I don't know what you call that, but a free pass, I suppose, because, like you mentioned, Hugh, a drive-through penalty here, I mean, you might as well go put the kettle on. By the time they get out, you'll be back with a fully brewed tea. Yeah.
Yes, Kobe's still in P1. I wasn't sure whether you can do a drive-through penalty and pit at the same time. I don't know whether that's too cheeky. I don't know whether you've just got a drive-through. Right. Well, he's obviously decided to just pay his dues and knuckle down, because we've got 1 hour 56 and 51 seconds left of this race to go. So he's maybe just thought, you know what, let's just get this done. I've got no traffic, no one's there to slow me down, and like I mentioned before at the beginning, in qualifying, with 2 hours worth of a race here at Spa of all places, and fatigue and all of these things come into consideration, tyre wear, I'm expecting casualties. You know, I'm expecting Eau Rouge to claim a victim to a few today.
Most certainly. Well, Hankin, number 44 Audi, now in P4, so we're a 444 for Hankin, and we're on board with the number 3 Bentley Blecky, now in a sandwich between the two Lexuses and the Ferrari of Jamo. Watching these guys fight it out and lose time. I'm most certainly going to see some action here as the fight for P6 is underway. Blecky taking the inside line. Is he able to capitalise as he exits on towards the Eau Rouge, and he looks like he has taken that position away, and now in front of the two Lexuses and the Ferrari of Jamo now as they all go through Eau Rouge, that roller coaster. And again, Hugh, something I'm very conscious about, and I'm you know, whether it's a drive-through penalty or a stop and go, I expect to see some track limits violations today. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this one pans out. Oh, Hugh, I just need to stop you. I don't think you've got your audio on share again. Someone's mentioning that it sounds like I'm talking to someone. Yeah. I'm just going to quickly...
That should be it there, I think. Hopefully it's coming through now. It's yeah, it should. It was some. It must have been changed, but I always have it on the other setting. So there we go. Hopefully it's coming through now.
We've got you.
That's
legendary. Well, I think it's probably worth. Kobe's just gone into the pits. It's obviously worth saying that as well. He's obviously gone in to serve his 7-year sentence through the Spa pits. Here, and that now gives the 46 Bentley P1, and my good God, is he gonna be laughing like the Buddha after that one? And Lily in P2 in the number 9 Bentley. We've got the two Bentleys, and now Hankin third in the standings, 9 points away from Stewart in the NXTGEN Season 3 GT3 World Tour standings, is a second away?
Yeah, I mean the top three are right there. Yeah, no, we've got a real race here. There was, even though we've already seen 2 drop out for drive-throughs, it's not bad at all, and it looks like we're just looking to see where Coalfighter number 7 is that. Looking for number 7, he's still in the pits. So he's back down to 11th place so far, dropping down the field. It says actually Professor Beanflicker's been lapped, but then that might just be the timing seems to change. I know he's still on the same lap. So yeah, he's gone down to 13th. Oh, that's number 1 car going very wide there. We'll have to watch so he doesn't get a penalty for that. But number 7 has cleared his drive-through, which is of course Coalfighter. Yes. So he's back on the track, but the two of them are 13th and 14th. But let's see what the gap is between them. And I'll see just how far away they are.
Yes, Kobe.
Oh, he's had oh, yeah, so to be fair, Bean Flicker has overtaken him.
So Bean is in front of Kobe.
According to the track map, number 69 is ahead of number 7. So I thought he would have been a little bit ahead there, so he must have had a very good run. But I'm surprised, unless Kobe's had an incident coming out of the pits. But he is a good bit ahead, probably about maybe 10 seconds ahead or so.
Oh, I can't believe it.
In fact, it's saying now he's 6.5 seconds behind the Professor Beanflicker in 13th place. So, yeah, so he's dead last, but he's very, obviously being on pole position. I'm sure he knows how to handle that car. So you're saying the best qualifying times were 2-minute 18s?
2:18, in fact. As well run through that. just before I do run through that, I'm going to introduce everyone in the YouTube for the second time. But this time, obviously, you're aware of his presence. We do have HughHatrick joining us today for some legendary co-commentary for the NXTGEN Season 3 GT3 World Tour Final. So, yes. And
I was going to say, it's fantastic to be here, and for once Matt has not gone mad. He wasn't talking to himself. I was actually there, but I didn't have the share play allowed. So I'm here now and enjoying this race. So it's great to see all the competitors and everybody in the chat who's watching. We're really in for a fantastic race. These Bentleys all of a sudden have become really popular. Maybe they're a bit more stable, although I have to say I'm not sure what they were like going through Eau Rouge, if they're pretty scary or not. But they seem to all of a sudden have really commanded their place at the front of the field.
Absolutely. It's I can't believe what's just happened, and I'm very interested to see exactly what Kobe in the number 7 Ferrari is capable of, and the Professor, because the Professor, in fact both of them, funnily enough, I think Kobe's 24, if I got that right, from Germany as well, I believe, and he has grown as a sim racer tenfold whilst being in the NXTGEN series. And I was speaking to Stuart and Kobe in a Discord the other day, and Kobe was laughing at the fact that he never thought that he'd even be in the top 8 for the NXTGEN series, but here we are at the final, and he is fighting 7 points away from Stuart.
Yeah, which is it's impressive, and it's a real race here, which is fantastic. And I mean, I have to say, doing those kind of qualifying times is pretty good. What's quite interesting is that 13th and 14th, they are definitely closing in on the pack, because number 14 and number 18, which are, that's Sakin Andre and Leafy GTI, they are currently
the nearest. Gone on the inside. He's taken the position away from Lely. He's got that second position away for the first corner of Spa, and now he's hunting P1.
That R8 is going pretty well. Makes a phenomenal sound. That we've got V8 roars, we've got V10 roars. We're in for a treat. But I have to say, they look like they're absolutely pushing it. When you think this is a 2-hour race, they're going to be careful with their tyres. I would imagine they'll probably be on quite heavy fuel loads as well. But it doesn't look like those cars are running heavy. The way that they're being taken around this circuit, they're being pushed as hard as they can. And we've got a fantastic race in front of us here.
Absolutely. And we've just had a little bit of more drama with Elliott taking Lely in the number 9 Bentley through turn 1 here at Spa, and now hunting the championship leader and race leader here as they make their way through.
I was going to say, NXTGEN made he was very wide coming out of one of the corners. He's going to have to watch that. If he keeps going 4 wheels well over the curbs in the line, he could well get a warning for that one.
Yes, I don't think it'll be long till we see a few stop-and-go penalties being thrown around through track limits and violations, but we've just got the leading pack making their way through campus and up towards Stavlot.
I mean, it's quite impressive. The top 4 cars are right there. There's not much in it at all. But
yeah, but looks like Kevin is on the outside of Lely, is side by side through a very quick Blauschmont, taking it away from Lely. So that's 2 positions that the number 9 Bentley has lost in 1 lap. That's going to be a little bit soul destroying. He's going to want to take maybe some positions back, but again, we do have an hour and 46 minutes of a race left to go, and it's going to feel like no time before that final 25% of a race is upon us. It's going to be interesting to see where these cars come out.
Yeah, I have to say that Lexus is looking pretty good, and it's a lovely British Racing green Bentley in 4th place. that who's not falling away really. He's keeping up with them. But oh, somebody go wide there. I think he's gone right past. I think there's been an incident.
Oh, it's Hankin.
Hankin has lost sight. He's lost.
No.
I wonder if he went wide.
I literally just turned off to see P6, and I'm just on board with Hankin now, and it looks like he has
down into 5th.
Pretty heavy damage as well.
Yeah, oh my goodness me, that's a rental return, that one. That's I think he's lost his excess on that one, that's for sure. It's the that's the one when you hand out the keys and say, there it is, you know. Oh my, he's gonna have to nurse that one back.
He's turning right and he's going forward.
Oh, at least it is drivable. At least he's able to get there. So I remember doing this on iRacing, and you hit the tow button, and then suddenly you realise you've got about 10 minutes to wait for the tow of the car back. That at least here you can drive it and try and get it back into the pits. But oh, he's on the grass. It looks pretty dodgy. He's going to take a bit of time to get that one fixed. So didn't actually see what happened. He must have had a major kind of happening at Eau Rouge, as far as we can see.
I was just about to say, I think it was Eau Rouge, wasn't it?
Oh, he's on the grass again. He's going to hit that barrier. Oh, all the time losing places right the way through.
Well, he definitely needs to stay in the hunt. You know, it's like we mentioned at the beginning of the race. Bad things are going to happen in a 2-hour final at Spa, and you know, I think the pressure and other people are going to make mistakes. So yes, he's lost time. Yes, he's got severe damage. However, he's still in the fight for a championship. You know, we've already had mistakes made at the beginning, so we'll see what he decides to do with repairs, and we'll see exactly where he can finish here for the final.
Well, I have to say, looking at the track map here, we have got the 46 NGXN still in the lead after 7 laps, and Hankin now makes it into the pits. But basically he's half a lap ahead of the 69 and the 7 car, so he has got a half a lap lead on the rest on the back markers. But it's going to be interesting. Can he catch up, or will the 7 and 69 manage to make some gains? I mean, obviously they're going to come up, they're going to overtake Hankin, who's going to have probably quite a long pit stop, but they're still quite a bit away from the other cars. It looks like the number, is it the 34 car or the 24 car is potentially in there? Yes, number 34, Nick Oslos is in the pits.
Right.
Sorry, it's Kevin M. Sinti 13 is in the pits. So something must have happened there, or maybe he's decided maybe they short-field it and then he's coming in for a pit stop. But yes, so we have 2 people in the pits at the moment, so already lots of action.
Absolutely, it's already been an eventful one, and we're only just getting bedded in. What have we got? So we've got Stewart leading. We've got 3 Bentleys now leading the final of NXTGEN Season 3 GT3 World Tour, and Lily with a 3-second deficit from the 46 Bentley, and I'm very curious to see where is he? Hankin, so he's still in the pits. I'm going to assume that he's going to be making repairs. Just to how long that's going to take is the question, and whether Kobe in P12, 8 seconds away from the Professor, 12 seconds away from Sakin, and the number 14 Honda. If Stewart can do what he does best, which is traverse these tracks like he is sailing around in the Mary Rose, then I think he's in for a win. He's in for the gold. I can't believe what we've seen, but we've got a long race ahead of us, and I'm most certainly expecting more mistakes to be made, but I just don't know whether the 46 Bentley is the guy to make that mistake, but we will see.
I mean, he looks very consistent so far, and he can't afford to back off because Lily 9 is just 2 seconds behind him, so any kind of little mistake or even just backing off a little bit and he's going to be right there. So he's probably maybe trying to kind of extend his lead if he can, and then you've got a little bit into third. There's about 5.7 seconds between second and third, so it's a wee bit of a gap there, but as you say, they're already lapping people due to the mishaps and drive-throughs, so it's all happening. But out of the pit lane comes the 44 car, I think it is. Hankin has finally gotten out of the pits, but look how long that's taken him. He's finally out, but he's already a lap down.
So he is now behind Kobe in the number 7 Ferrari as they make their way up towards Lake Holmes and the right of Malmedy.
And Kobe is 9.5 seconds behind Professor Bean Flicker.
Yes, and it's very interesting to see those very number 69, the number 7, and number 44 cars. These are all the quickest, guys of the group, and they're now at the back of the race. And Stewart, up in P1, I bet he's laughing to himself, just in absolute awe of what's happened.
He just basically needs to keep it on the track for as long as he can, isn't it, for this 1 hour and 38 minutes, and hopefully not make any mistakes. And then he should have it pretty sensibly. But to be fair, Lely has cut that gap by a second and is now just 1.1 seconds behind. Now, how many points does NXTGEN need to be able to win this title?
So Stewart is 220 points, I believe, with regards to P1 in the series. P2 is Kobe, the number 7 Ferrari, 7 points behind Stewart. Next Gen Lager, and Hankin is in P3, 9 points behind Stewart. So they're all very close with regards to points with this race. Most certainly would have put Hankin in P1. But he's put himself in a very grave position as he now makes his way up towards La Source and heading towards Eau Rouge. But he now does have a new window screen and a straight steering wheel, so he's back in the fight.
Yes, I was going to say,
Eau Rouge.
It's going to look like Clouseau's car eventually. It's going to have no doors, windows and anything else, and it'll just be driving along.
Eau Rouge has claimed victim again.
Oh dear.
He's going to be kicking himself with that one. Straight to the pits. That's what I would have done as well, I think. I think that's Elliott out of the a P1, 2 or 3, which has given Professor Bean... Now, I'll check the standards again, but the Professor Bean should be in for a pretty good... chance maybe of P4. I'm not sure he's in for a chance of P3, but Elliott, if he's not going to continue, that's going to drastically change the points and where they come. So what a race!
My goodness me. So he must have had another incident there, but they go past and they head on up the hill up towards Eau Rouge, or Radillon and then Eau Rouge. And I mean, they seem to be able to go flat out through there, and they seem to be. They don't, normally in some cars you can see when people are lifting, but they seem to be going absolutely at it without any issues. And there's not much in it. There's 0.7 of a second between first and second, and after 10 laps, I think that's pretty good going.
Absolutely, and we've got the battle of the Bentleys at the front of the pack, and Lely in the number 9. British Racing Green Bentley is doing a cracking job of keeping up with the series leader, Stewart. But I don't think Stewart really needs to be putting pedal to the metal here.
Yeah, he could back off and drop to second, but then it's a racing driver. Do you think he's going to back off? And
absolutely not.
No,
he's going to be in the flow, I think.
Yeah, that's right. You won't see a racing driver telling you can go first. That unless it's wet or snow on the track. That, but no, that's the thing. They're going to be battling to get through the door at the same time. That, but what we have is a race. I mean, they're going so wide there as they come down the hill, but putting on as much acceleration as possible as early as they can onto the long straight, or the kind of curved straight, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's still a straight, isn't it? Yeah,
it's still that last wee bit, because they're going to be as early as they can on the power, maximise their top speed. And it's a great circuit, though. I mean, Spa just has this incredible history, and the great thing is they've not really ruined it in any way. They've always kind of, if anything, they've maybe made it better in the last few years. They've made it always a bit safer here and there, but it's still got great character, great corners, and it's such a popular track.
It certainly is, and I wasn't aware till this year, getting back into the British GT3, the real one. Going to see that at Silverstone, get back into it, and I didn't realise that Spa was actually a part of the British GT3 and GT4 tour. So that makes it all the more interesting for me, and it's an absolute roller coaster of a track, that's for certain. And I think they're making even more adjustments to it, aren't they? Taking out that house that you see as you exit the pits, and turning it into a grandstand.
All right. Oh, I didn't know that. That yeah, I mean, that's been there a long time, mind you. That but they've booted somebody out, have they? Say it's you've been evicted. They're making a grandstand. That but I imagine would have sold that one for a wee bit. But yeah, I've got friends who are going to watch the F1 Grand Prix there next year at Spa, and they're looking forward to that. It's the first Grand Prix they're ever going to see. So that'll be. It's always a great one to watch live. I've only seen video clips of people doing that, but the only Grand Prix I've been to was at Donington back in 1993, where I saw Ayrton Senna win in the most incredible first lap.
Oh, you was there for that, was you?
I was there. I was just gone 18, and I went there with my good friend Jonathan, and my goodness me, and also his father came too. But what an incredible event! It just puts the hairs on your back up, put it that way. It's just every time you think about it, it's to see legends like that battle it out. Prost, Senna, Hill, Schumacher, the whole lot. It was Brundle. It was fantastic, and quite a day.
It's definitely something to say that you're seeing Senna and Schumacher, and I'd absolutely love to go and see the F1. I did look at the Silverstone tickets for us all, but it's borderline a small mortgage, isn't it, to go?
Yeah, I mean, some of them, depending on how you want to do it, it can be quite expensive. But yeah, I think it is a lot different. But I think we've had these incredible eras of Grand Prix. Like through the 90s, the 80s, and then even in the 2000s when Ferrari dominated, and then you had Alonso and so many different drivers winning, and then of course the Hamilton era, which is amazing. And then of course you got this hybrid era as well, isn't it? So it's so different. I just remember being completely deafened by the sound of Williams V10s, Ford V8s. It was Ferrari V12s. I mean, it was just it was the Ferrari. Its engine sounded just like it was like a musical instrument. It was coming through those exhausts were highly tuned pipes of joy. You could say, the incredible sound that they made as it revved up to 15,000 or whatever it was RPM. But yeah, they were amazing cars to hear.
I can imagine that is such an incredible experience listening to that's what as expensive as it is, I'd imagine it's worth every penny. they cost a lot more than a GT3 car, so you know, and it's everything else that's included. I imagine the experience is incredible.
Well, to be fair, you know, back in 1993, to go to Donington, because it was a bit of a last-minute race, I think. You know, in those days it wasn't quite as... some of the races were pretty glamorous, but Donington certainly wasn't glamorous, that's for sure. It was flooded out pretty much all weekend. There's been a car go off there. Is that the number 34? Or is that 24? He's come back on again. That looking down the numbers there. Yep, I think he's just gone off there, but he's back on the track. But yes, you could get in for £45 for a normal ticket in those days. Back in '93, it was £45 for a ticket to. But that didn't get you into a grandstand. That was a general admission. But it wasn't too bad for a day's racing. And what's more, we got the touring cars in the afternoon after the Grand Prix. They had the touring cars race, and it was incredibly wet. It was like almost thunderstorms, and it was you couldn't open your eyes for the rain. Coming in, you know, kind of really stinging your eyes. It was something. But look at this! Oh, Stewart's gone off. He's hit the wall.
No.
And Lilly takes the lead. He just got it wrong. He must have got onto the grass and the curbs. He's waiting for traffic to come through.
So that's all three drivers that are leading the series have made a mistake. Oh my good God! He's on the outside. Oh, I thought that was going to be another one there. Coming up to the bus stop.
He's managed it, and maybe he's just spun. He did hit the wall a little bit, but the car looks okay.
Let's have a look. Well, the steering wheel's straight.
He's down in 4th place, so he's not lost too much, maybe about 18 seconds. But Lily 9 must be thinking, who's next? You know, as to go off.
I can't believe that.
On the first 30 minutes, as the sun sets here at Spa, and of course we're going to go right the way through the night, and maybe even into the morning. It's a 2-hour race, but I know they've got it on. Is it the 24-hour setting?
That's it. Yeah. So we're going to be treated to some night and day action. He's definitely lost some pace as well. That Bentley. He's most certainly got some damage. Whether he's going to wait to go till the pit window opens and utilise his time there, or whether he thinks it's worth going in the pits now, we're going to have to see. But that Ferrari is most certainly beginning to pull away from the GT3 World Tour Series leader, and Hankin has backed out. His car has retired from the series, so it's between Stewart and Kobe, currently in 11th position, but Kobe having 0 damage to contend with, could mean that NXTGEN's 46 Bentley is going to be side by side with the number 7 Ferrari. What an incredible turn of events we're being treated to today for the final for NXTGEN Season 3 GT3 World Tour, and I wasn't expecting that from Stewart, but I'm not surprised. We've still got an hour and a half's worth of racing. We've got the sun beginning to fade, which means that temperatures are going to fade, which means that tyre pressures are going to drop. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there, whether some of the drivers have set their tyre temps up for a sort of hot temperature, which means they're going to be losing maybe half a degree in temperatures, I don't know, but that's going to make it even more sketchy through Eau Rouge. So keep tuned in, because I'm sure we're going to be seeing some more victims here for the final of NXTGEN's Season 3 GT3 World Tour.
Were the drivers aware that it was going to be a kind of 24-hour kind of weather type conditions?
Yep. Yes.
So they knew, yeah. Because as you say, though, it's very, very hard to get those settings to adjust to give yourself a good car when it gets cooler. And how long will it be before the pit lane will open and they can potentially come into the pits?
Sorry, say that again. How long till the pits open?
Yes.
I don't know, because it's a 2-hour race.
because imagine there'll be heavy fuel, but they'll still have to. Normally it's about 45 minutes to an hour before you really run out of fuel at a place like Spa, because they're pretty heavy on fuel, these cars.
Well, I think it's nearly close to 4 litres of fuel per lap. So
yeah,
it's definitely thirsty.
Yeah, but yeah. So no, that's so they're going to have to come into the pits at some point. I can't imagine they're going to be able to go for 2 hours on one tank, because even if it's full, I know the AMG it took about 120 litres on full tanks, but you see that gets about 30 laps. But they're going to be doing that was for a, let's see how many laps have they done, 14 at the moment. So I suppose potentially they could be roughly maybe around half tanks by now at the moment, potentially. So that's take them 35 minutes. So yeah, so I would have thought round about under the hour mark they're going to be thinking about coming in. I would have thought, because they're going to need fuel.
Is it 100 litres or 120 litres fuel tank?
I know the AMG had 120 litres.
Right.
And the Mercedes, yeah. So
probably
if it's the same, yeah. That so yeah, no, that's the thing that it's going to be exciting. But I mean, already we've had so many changes, and Lily 9 has just completed 15 laps. And they're lapping traffic, they're coming up to people have had problems, they've spun off. We've seen people inherit the lead, and then always something happens. We've seen Stewart go down into 5th place. He was leading, but I think he is catching a little bit. They're still steady, he's still keeping going. We've got Bleck at 86 in 2nd place. So it's all to play for. And yeah, what is going to happen next, you can wonder. And as we see, and right at the very back, we've got Kevin in 13th. In the 34 car, but it's getting there now. Kobe, who is in 11th, is 6.5 seconds behind Sakin Andre, but Professor Beanflicker is up into 9th, so he's doing all right there. He's beginning to climb up the field again.
He most certainly is. In the 69 Ferrari, he's doing God's work. Moving up through the pack as he makes his way up to Eau Rouge. And we're beginning to see drivers begin to put their lights on, as what a beautiful scenery that is as well. Just sun has gone past the horizon of planet Earth here from Spa, and it's not going to be long until that secondary light will be gone, and we see the stars begin to come out, and we are going to be treated to some beautiful sights and sounds as the GT3 class continue to work their way around the 2-hour endurance final here at Spa. And just like HughHatrick said, we've been treated to an incredible amount of action, and they have all been from the Season 3 series leaders, and we've got the Professor in P9 working his way back up, and Kobe now in P11, and Sakin in the number 14 Honda, sandwiched between the 2 Ferraris. So Kobe 5 seconds worth of work to catch up to Sakin, and then he has to catch back up to the Professor. Now, it's one thing fighting for points, it's one thing fighting for position, but we also are driving for pride here today with 2 hours worth of work for the GT3 boys.
It looks like Kobe's taken a second from Sakin just in that little section that we've been talking it. So maybe his car's running a little bit better as things cool down. That because that's gonna, if he can get past Sakin, then he's only 8 or 9 seconds behind Professor Beanflicker. So we'll have to see how that all works out. But yeah, as you can see here already, that it's getting dark, the lights are on, and it's going to make a big difference driving in the dark, because it does cool down quite a bit. And of course, they've still got quite heavy fuel loads. They'll be maybe about half tanks by now, or just below that. But look at the size of that spoiler on the Bentley. It's huge. Well, these cars are massive in real life, aren't they? They're but they feel like about 6 foot wide, about 2 meters wide or something. They're absolutely colossal. And they're being hurled around Spa, and it makes it look rather easy. But I'm sure if we were to try and do the same thing, we'd be probably spun at turn 1. To be fair, the way that these guys do it, they know what they're doing. And we've got some top drivers here as well, isn't it? We've got some really fantastic and very, very fast drivers. Getting 218s at Spa is really, really incredible. As I say, I was struggling on a 221.6, and that was with a bit of practice. So on a very, very ropey AMG Mercedes, but then maybe I had a ropey driver as well. So I don't want to blame them too much. But what kind of car do you think goes best round Spa?
Do you know, it's a great debate, and I don't have the answer, but if I was to have to give you one, I would probably say the Ferrari. I would say the Mercedes would be... The Mercedes is just a cracking GT3 car, but the Ferrari, very humble. I don't know. But the Ferrari does seem to do very well. Saw a 216 from a Ferrari yesterday through my TMK Racing lobby on Assetto Corsa Competizione. And I did actually see a Lamborghini, and I was actually watching the Lamborghini and Ferrari fight it out, and they were both hitting 216s. It was an incredible thing to watch. 216s, Ferrari and Lamborghini. A lot of people put the Lamborghini down, but in my opinion, I think it's because of how you have to drive the Lamborghini to get the most out of the Lamborghini, because it's a four-wheel drive car. You've got 640 degrees worth of rotation, as opposed to 480 degrees worth of rotation from the Ferrari 488. So, you know, and I think it's one thing learning how to get the most out of the car, and we spoke about this on your podcast. That's what I love about Assetto Corsa, because there is an extreme amount of realism in this game, whereas Gran Turismo, it has that level of realism, but it's a little bit more taken back, so you can enjoy it. You know, this is just, you know, 120 litres worth of fuel, worn down rubber, you're coming into a Rouge, you know, it's an uncomfortable proposition.
It's certainly, in the AMG, it was like a giant pendulum ready to swing you off the track, especially on heavy fuel. In fact, even on any kind of fuel, it just seemed to want to swing you around. You had to take the speed off so early and then try and throttle it up the hill. And of course, it's so easy to take too much on, and you have to adjust halfway, and as soon as you do that, the back end is just swapping ends with you. So no, I think the guys who can drive that car properly around here, I admire. I give them a lot of respect, because I certainly couldn't. It was really tough. I mean, the amount of spins I had in the 4-hour race that we had here about a month ago, it was a disaster.
Yes, I mean, it's funny, and if I'm honest with you, everyone takes the mick out of me for it. Even Kobe in the number 7 Ferrari, all in jest, of course. But you know, I mean, I'm spinning out a lot, and in my opinion, it's getting used to the degrees worth of rotation, because we're so used to 1080 degrees worth of rotation, and even on Gran Turismo, you know, you drive the Ferraris GT3s and you've got a lot more rotation than you do in here. You stick it on 480 degrees and you barely have to turn the wheel. You know, you turn 2 or 3 degrees too much, but with regards to what you're doing on your, you know, G29, in your head, you're barely turning it, but in the game, it's enough to spin the car. And I think it's very difficult to feel that level of grip, to know when you're going to lose it. But the more I play this now, I've started to get behind the wheel a lot more. So I am impressed with your time of 2:21. That is still a very fast time here for a long track.
I can't remember what fuel load it was. I think it was like maybe had about 20 litres of fuel in it. But it was really tricky in that car. I tried the Porsche, and that was even worse. I just couldn't keep that thing at all because it's so hard on long corners. You know, if you had to kind of back off and go around a bend, it just wanted to swap ends. But no, I'm yet to find a good car. I haven't done so much on this track recently, so I'll need to go back and try and see if I can do a better lap, because I know one of my friends, John Votter from Votter Racing, he was doing 218s in the Porsche, and he said he couldn't beat the 218, and I thought that's pretty phenomenal. But yeah, I really need to learn where the speed is, because obviously to be 3 seconds or 3.5 seconds off a good time, you're going to think, right, that means I'm missing curves, or I'm missing something here that's allowing people to carry a lot more speed all over the track. So I've got a lot of work to do, but it's good fun though. And as a Corsa Competizione is a great game.
Yes, it's what I love about it, and this is what I love about Gran Turismo. I've really got back into Gran Turismo because I initially fell in love with this because of the realism, the extra realism, but then I've fallen back in love with Gran Turismo because it's just such a... The graphics are incredible, the frames per second are incredible on console, and it's just such a lovely, fun game to play. But, you know, when I play Gran Turismo, and then getting back onto this, you really feel the realism, you really feel every single, the movement of suspension, the amount of grip as you're just trying to just micro adjustments through the wheel. It's just such a satisfying experience. And rewarding experience. The more you knuckle down and get faster and faster, and like you say, these guys are doing 218s over and over and over and over and over. It's incredible, and I think, for mere mortals like you and me, I think perhaps. And maybe it is just a case of learning new brain pathways, it's just a case of learning your brake markers, learning how much to turn, learning and feeling that level of grip as you go through the corners, and maximising that traction through the Pirelli softs and the suspension, and the weight. There's so much to think about, but again, that's what makes it so awesome and so rewarding, and that's why I've got so much respect for the guys that can pull out constant fast lap times.
Yeah, it is. I have to say, it's impressive. I mean, I've been following Stewart, who is now into 6th place, but he's still going strong. And we've just had Lily 9, who has just completed 19 laps. And they're all going at it now. We've got the challenge of driving at night, but yeah, doing those kind of laps is pretty impressive. They've got to know every single brake marker, and even at when you think you're now adjusting to night driving, and it's much harder to see those markers. It's much harder to it's easy to overcook it and then run wide or go off. But really, it's been pretty reasonable so far. Yes, it's been 1 or 2, but nowhere near as many as you would expect. For this kind of challenging race, and we're now coming in towards the end of the first hour, and it's still incredibly close.
I was just thinking that actually, as you were saying, we've got Kobe, the Professor, and Stuart all next to each other, and now we've got the 2 Bentleys, very quick dudes, Lely and Blecky in the number 9 and 3 Bentleys, and Lucan 3 seconds away from P2, the 98 Ferrari 1.1 second away from P3, Hempy only just over 7 seconds away from P4 after over 47 minutes worth of racing, Stewart 6 seconds away from P5, and then we've got Professor, Kobe, Sakin only 2 seconds away from Kobe. I mean, hats off to these guys. Incredible racing, and Ian, don't you, Kaz?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, he's been in chat, and I said at the beginning of qualifying before you joined that I've been enjoying commentating for the NXTGEN boys, and I'm going to work with them for season 2. So I'm hopefully going to make them hold off for another week or 2 and get some recruitment on the way, just because we want to get some, not necessarily because we want to fill out the lobbies. I think filling out the grid's good. It's just we want to get the right people in, and I think Kaz is one of the ones who plays Assetto Corsa and looking to get into a lobby and a season like this with a great set of lads, and you know, watching these boys race it out over the course of, I don't know when I first got involved, I think season 1 race 4, so I think it was race 4 when I first got involved with these boys. So how many weeks is that? That's 11 weeks? 11 weeks, 4, 8, 12, nearly 3 months, just over 3 months I've been commentating for these boys. Great racing etiquette. It is a paid for series, but I think that just goes to show the level of commitment. There are prizes for P1, 2 and 3. I think P1 will receive a £40 miniature toy car.
Oh wow!
I'm going to assume it's a die-cast of a GT3, I assume. I'm not actually sure. P2 is going to receive a Coach Dave setup, and I can't remember what P3 gets. But yeah, Season 2's on the cards, and obviously we're just looking to make it as best we can. Very similar to what you're trying to do yourself, Hugh, and myself also with TMK Racing, but maybe we've got a minute or two to talk about the HughHatrick, and obviously I'll be doing commentary for that as well. And I don't know whether I'll be doing commentary with Rue next time, will I, for your next race?
I'll need to double check on that, yeah, because that's this Saturday. And when you believe it, I made it into split 2. I've got into the faster. Yeah, I got quite a good lap. I was beginning to kind of really get some reasonable lap times, and I'm rather chuffed because I had a grid penalty as well. So I think I'm about 7th or 8th, possibly on Saturday, but really enjoying it. We've got the Fuji short track in the GT4s, all front drive. So I'm in the Peugeot with a KFC livery, but yeah, no, it's turning out to be really great fun, and I'm kind of wondering how that will help my points getting into split 2, because I've got Scotty Senior, he was on pole position, and I think VQR Jack is just behind him, or maybe it's the other way around. But they're right at the front, and they're about 6/10 quicker than me. But you know what? If we're that fast, you never know. If they're battling away, we might just be able to keep up with them. So it's going to be. The prize is not even a bucket of KFC. It's just done for fun. But some really great guys. Of course, Cars I9 is in there as well. And we've got a great field. But yeah, and it'll be streamed out on Saturday around about 9 o'clock.
Happy days. Yep, Cars just in chat as well. He's just saying hello to Dougie, who's also in chat. Mr. GLR Racer 14. Both of those competing on Saturday for your HughHatrick. What a cracking series it is. Very grateful to be involved, and it looks like, who've we got there? Lucan making his way into the pits. So we've got the pit window open now. 20 minutes, so that pit window is going to close with 50 minutes left to go, and we've got NXTGEN's 46 Bentley in P6, the Professor in P7, and Kobe in P8. Raoul in the 369 BMW, doing the work. 7 seconds in pursuit of the number 14 Honda. Kevin in the 34 Lexus, making his way through Spa. Leafy making his way up to turn 1.
I was going to say, it's such a long pit lane, isn't it? Because they come through the first one, which is of course the F1 pit lane, and you kind of think for this game, because there's nobody else there, they could have used that. Or maybe there's not enough garages perhaps for them all, I don't know, but yeah, because I mean, it's so long and they're just doing like 20 miles an hour, it seems, all the way along, or hardly any speed at all, and it just goes on and on, and eventually they'll be able to come in. But yes, they're all going to have to start doing pit stops to get more fuel, because I mean, they've still got just over an hour to go. It'd be interesting to see what kind of fuel people started with. If it was absolutely full tanks, they've done pretty well, to be fair, to get 55 minutes out of it. It's going to, I'd imagine they must be pretty much on full tanks. to start with that and to manage to get that far. Either that or my Mercedes was incredibly heavy on fuel. That maybe the Bentley's not as bad. But we'll have to see. But it's going to take a wee while. Of course, they can get any repairs done that they need to, and then they'll get back out there to start the second half.
This is it. Ian says hopefully he doesn't get hit this time.
Oh, was that by me? Was it? Is he referring to me?
I don't know. Was it who was
I
it?
thought I hit Diacup, or maybe it was that. We'll have to wait and see. I can't quite remember. I know there was an issue. It was such a close race at Saint-Croix. It was just nip and tuck, and there were just little bits here and there. But no, this time Fuji is quite a good wide track, so
yes.
It should be fine.
Lots of room on Fuji. It's going to be a good one to commentate for on Saturday.
Yeah, hopefully Roo will be there with you as well. He has a unique commentary as well.
Yeah,
so
he said it was him, yeah. So we're going to jump on board with Hempy for a moment in the 99 Lexus as he makes his way through the first corner here at Spa and hurtles his way downhill towards the most brutal section. Oh, Rouge in right. Can he make it? Yes, he can. No track warnings there. And we see the UV lights begin to light up the inside of the GT3 cars.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, that, isn't it?
Yes, looks awesome.
I once saw David Perel race in his Ferrari at Silverstone a couple of years ago, and it was great. It was a 3-hour race, and it was great to watch them. And he ended up coming right up through the field. I think they started about 44th or something. They had a terrible qualifying and a few issues, and I think he ended up being in the top 12 even or something. It was an incredible run that he had, but it was great to watch them. I was watching in the kind of grandstand area towards the old towards the old pit street, and it was amazing seeing them come in into the left-handers and just they all were backing off and the fire coming out of the exhaust and all the noise. It was just amazing.
There's something about it, isn't there? I mean, just walking through the pits is something. I went to Santa Pod for the first time ever. It's quite interesting, actually, the experiences that you grow up with as a kid and the experiences that you give your children. I've given my children, and more for Kobe because he's a little bit older, the experiences of GT3. And as much as I want to go and see him, it was him that made me think, do you know what, let's go and do this. It's great to see it in real life, but as you're walking through the pits or even as you're waiting for the cars to start their engines on the pits, and you hear the sound of thousands of horsepower light up, and you feel the frequencies of the subsonic frequencies go through the earth and through the grandstands into your feet. It's just such an incredible sight and sound. And Santa Pod, these dragsters have got 6,000 horsepower. My flipping god, when they start, it's like the god of thunder has descended onto earth, and God, it's just brutal. The sound, even with earplugs, it hurts your ears. It's just, and it's like there's a subwoofer next to you, and it's just going whack 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 before they even let go on the start line. It's one of those sights and sounds that you have to experience. It needs to be on everyone's bucket list that's into motorsport, because it's just an incredible experience.
Yeah, no, it's something else. And I remember seeing a jet bike once at Goodwood, and it was doing like these incredible starts and burnouts, and then it would whisk its way up the Goodwood Hill. But it was this huge jet bike, which was it was a fantastic thing. And then we saw that famous Fiat. It was like, is it the 36 litre thing? It's like they call it the Beast or something. It's been on Top Gear before, or the Grand Tour, I think it was. And they bring that one out, and it was phenomenal. The Goodwood's a great place as well to see just so many different types of cars, whether it be racing cars and supercars, just phenomenal. I remember running down to the start of the hill, because we heard these incredible cars arriving, and we were slightly late getting there. And it was the Ferrari Enzo FXX cars, and they honestly sounded like Grand Prix cars because they've got V12 engines, and they had the 599 FXX as well, and they were that's like my favourite car. If that's a car I could have, that's the one I would have.
Okay.
I think the 599, I just love it. Love the looks of it, and of course you can play it on a Assetto Corsa. You can drive it, and the noise, it's just amazing. I'm thinking the next HHTCR Cup might well be Ferrari 599s on something like Assetto Corsa or something similar. We'll have to see.
Now hold that thought just a moment, because I've just noticed that Blecky, he is out of the pits. He's on fresh rubber, but I just saw a yellow marker on the number 3 dot through Eau Rouge, and he was in P2.
So he's lost quite a bit. He's now down in 7th.
Yes, it's going to be interesting to see where Blecky comes out. We've got Igor in chat. Let's go Blecky, rooting for the number 3 Bentley, but we will see how much time that has cost him, as we have just over 10 minutes of a pit window left to go. And it's probably worth mentioning how beautiful these stars look. Camera set 2 is a good one. You can see the stars
on a nice clear night, isn't it?
Yes, at Belgium. Kobe just exiting the pits in front of Raoul in the 369.
But look where Professor Beanflicker is. Right up there in 3rd place.
Yes, he still
he might have another pit stop to do.
Pit to do though, yeah, he's got the orange 1 next to his name, so he's still got his pit window to serve.
So he's going to have to do that in the next few minutes, with less than 9 minutes, or just over 9 minutes to go before the pit window closes. But no, it's pretty good going. But I suppose he's kept it going, and we now have, as I say, Kobe in 10th place. But then that's it. He's ready to go to the finish. Can he catch up? And how will it all count out? We've got Sakin Andre as well, who is in the pits in the Honda. He'd be a brave man to drive that Honda. The Honda is one of the hardest cars to drive in GT3, certainly in Gran Turismo. I'm not sure what it's like here. Have you had experience of the Honda? Is it a bit ropey or is it reasonable?
I have had a go on the Honda. Ian's also said he has sat in a GT3 Bentley. The Bentley's got quite a lot of cred actually. I know Stuart's very fond of the Bentley because he went to see the British GT3 just before I did actually, which was funnily enough at Silverstone, and fell in love with it when he saw it live. But the Honda is a beautiful car. I really enjoyed it. If I'm honest with you, I found it very stable. I guess you could probably call it a little bit more safe, but that safety, I suppose, translates to in slower lap times. I would say it's of course, you can change the settings, steering lock, steering ratio, bump stop, bump rate, all these sorts of things, the toe, the camber, but it's I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the car, but it's not something that I would choose. But we've got Professor Bean now entering the 7-year-long pit stop. And when I first actually went through this pit stop for the first ever time, I ended up stopping at the first bit, and I was thinking, where's this red box? Why can't I see my pit stop? I didn't realise I had to go around the end. It was that long.
I know, it's very easy to do that, and then it's a really tight right-hand bend as well. It's easy to hit the barrier if you're not concentrating when you come into that pit, because it is pretty tight, and then you think you've gotten there, and then there's a lot bit more to go. And of course you've got to watch the speed limit, well, I suppose the limiter's on pretty much right the way through the whole pit lane. But yeah, and then of course you come out of that and it's cold tyres and you're up the hill, and even just rejoining, you've got to be careful that you rejoin without crashing. I know I'm just seeing here that the number 1 car has come, or the leading car is Lely 9, has just come out of the pits. He's done 26 laps. Professor Beanflicker is still in for his pit stop, and let's see, will he fall down the field a bit? although he had a bit of a gap between him and number 3. So we'll see how it pans out. But I'm just amazed that there's so much action here, which is great. And you know, I'm sure at the end of it there's going to be a lot of I think quite happy drivers, along with maybe 1 or 2 not so happy. But I think these kind of performances are pretty decent. We've not seen a lot of spins overall. We've only had maybe 3 or 4, if that, which is, you know, pretty good for over the first hour. And normally you'd expect to see an awful lot more mistakes, but these guys are proving that they really are up at the top of the field.
This is it. It's incredible racing. It's not like we're not treat to both entertainment and the usual motorsport antics, crashes and mistakes and all the bits that they don't like but we do as a viewer. Makes it more interesting and exciting as a viewer, but of course we want the best for the drivers. But moving back onto the Professor, who's now exited the pits, is in 7th position, is in front of Kobe. Kobe is suffering from 25-second deficit to Kevin, who needs to go into the pits, and NXTGEN's Stewart in the 46 Bentley now in P5, still leading the championship in front of Kobe, and obviously Hanking having to retire his car after a second brutal crash at Eau Rouge that I'm very sorry to say, Elliot, I did catch on stream. But we've got Blecky in P4, was in P2, is half a second behind Jamo in the 19th Ferrari, 6 seconds behind Lucan, who is now in P2 in the 316 Lexus, chasing down Lely in the number 9 Bentley, leading this final race for the Season 3 GT3 World Tour. Round 15 for NXTGEN here at Spa, and we've most certainly been treated to some incredible racing today. We've got Blecky in P4 now hunting down the Bronze Cup of Jamo in the 98 Ferrari as they make their way through turn 1 and head to Eau Rouge. Are we going to see a fight on our hands between the 98 Ferrari and number 3 Bentley? We will find out.
Yep,
Stars
it's
still out.
Yeah, so we've got Anwin as well coming in for his pit stop. Or Anwin, and he is in 11th, and then Nick, who's in 13th. Also in the pits. I always, it's going back to that thing you're saying about how you like to see crashes, and they used to do videos. I think it was called like Crash 'em and Smash 'em. And way back in the 90s in the day, and we used to get the videos, and sometimes it would be like Murray Walker and others kind of going through the different classes of motorsport and watching all the accidents. Or there's that famous title of video, it was called "And They Walked Away." You know, it was something. But I used to watch the Rover 216 GTI championship, and that was back in the 90s, and it was these Honda engine 216 GTI 3-doors, and they were a great car, actually. They were great fun, but honestly the accidents were incredible. I remember watching a race at Donington, and literally about 3 of them got through the first corner, and then you looked in the guy's mirror and you just saw everybody kind of piling into each other, and there was just like nobody left. You know, it was incredible. But there was lots of action because the cars were virtually identical in setup, so they couldn't really do much. So it was so close. But it was fantastic racing. But no, this is obviously going to be these cars. I think what's so good about a set of cars in Competizione is that you feel the weight of the car, isn't it? And you've got to get used to kind of driving the weight of it. And feeling, how do you get that car around the bend? How do you take it from being quite a scary car to then being quite comfortable with it? Because I remember when I first started playing this a few months back, and it was like, oh god, it was horrible. You know, it was kind of felt, I can't seem to make this car turn a corner. I can't seem to get it to slow down. And now you're going to brake a bit earlier. You're going to really get the tyres warmed up. You're going to fiddle around with setups to try and get the car working a bit better. But it's a real work. You know, when you finish a race like this, you're knackered. You know, you feel like you've really done something. But I'm taking part in the race in the E-Seniors Championship on Saturday, just before the race I'm doing on later on for the HHTCR.
Oh, you're racing with them?
Yeah, I'm finally going to do an hour-long race with them at 7 o'clock.
He was awesome, that guy.
Aye, Jeremy Arabas is really, really lovely. But yeah, so I managed to slot in. So I'm going to do an hour of that, and I thought, God, I hope I'm still going to be okay for my half an hour. But I know that I'm in the second split, so I've got a wee bit of a gap before I'm required to race again. But no, you really feel it with these cars. So it's you know, and you're kind of, you need a shower afterwards. You're kind of all sweaty and done, isn't it? So it's all part of it. I think this is the great thing. That's what makes the difference between a proper sim race and maybe a Gran Turismo race overall. Is that unless you're doing lots of daily race C, which is a bit longer, most of the time it's only like 10 minutes at a shot, which is great fun. In fact, I would like a race maybe a little bit longer here and there. You know, kind of mid one, say a 10-minute, 15-minute, and then maybe a bit longer like daily race C. But I like the sprints though. But a 2-hour race, it's a real challenge.
Absolutely. I think we've got a newer set of Corsa 2 coming, base game, not Compasses only, but the base one. We've got a Gran Turismo 7 coming, which I cannot explain how excited I am for. Especially just being able to get a road car. If I can get my Ford Fiesta ST and buy a racing exhaust, I'm doing it. But yeah, we've got 7 new tracks coming for a set of Corsa competitors only, laser scanned. Obviously we've got the 2022 coming up, so we're going to have all new laser scan tracks of the ones that have been updated. I really would like to see a safety car option for Assetto Corsa, in the sense that you can either have it as AI or human controlled. I think
that would be quite good, actually.
Yeah, it's going from the differences from Gran Turismo again to Assetto Corsa. It's like the design of Assetto Corsa, they've wanted this to be as realistic to the GT3 and GT3 cars, both British and international and Europe cars that they do, because I know that they've got the Chevrolet GT4 that's never won a race actually in the real GT4 championships, but nevertheless there's a different array of cars, and you know, I think that's just what's amazing about it. I think being a sim enthusiast, you get to drive these cars, and if you yourself, Hugh, have tried the different cars, because I've tried them all, and none of them feel the same. None of them. You know, you've got your mid-engine cars, you've got your front-engine cars, you've got your front-engine cars that have been placed to the back of the front of the engine and the front of the front of the engine, all to manipulate how the car handles.
Yeah.
And you know, like you mentioned, you know, you're sweating after it because it's an effort. You're fighting for constant control, and like we said before, you know, 218 lap times over and over and over again. It's you've got to take your hat off to them, haven't you?
Absolutely. It's quite a thing, and I think I'm looking forward to Assetto Corsa 2 because I'm a big fan of the first one, and hopefully they'll have a lot more content in that, because at the moment it's the mods that seem to make all the extra content. I just actually downloaded, that special one for Assetto Corsa, the content management program, to try and do a bit more with that, and I'm hoping to have Matt. It's going to be Matt Evans from Thea's Discord, and who does a lot of work with Thea. I met him at the Thea and Jeff's party a couple of months ago, but because he knows everything about Assetto Corsa. He seems to be just the kind of, he knows every single thing about it, and also Competizione as well. But it's incredible the detail that goes into it and getting these setups. I mean, you've got people like Coach Dave that do setups, and there's many others as well. But it's just such a different driving game. I mean, it's almost like, you know, I've done a bit of iRacing recently, and it's good fun, but it's very different. I mean, the graphics are amazing when you're watching it and taking part, but it's like an on-off switch sometimes with the brakes, and it's quite different. But Assetto Corsa and Assetto Corsa Competizione, they have real character with the cars, and I have to say that really stands out for me. That it's, you know, it can only get better. I mean, Assetto Corsa is quite an old game now, but I think when they update it, that will be something. Do you know when it's coming out then? Is it next year?
I'm not sure on the date, no.
Because I know GT7 is March, isn't it? March the 22nd.
Well, they feel like very different games,
on,
even though they're the same engines, because and the problem I've got with Assetto Corsa Competizione
is the fact that you can't change the camera angles, and I use a 75-inch screen because I wanted to basically imitate as closely as I could to being on the road widthwise. And the problem with the views is you can't manipulate where you're sat, and you can't quite get the right field of view. But if you get a set, I don't know whether you played a Assetto Corsa, but you know, you can get in a GT3 Ferrari 488, same car, take it for a spin around the same tracks, and it feels completely different. And the only difference is the field of view. I could see more of the track. It's not just the field of view. You can change where the camera is, and then you can change the field of view. So more of the outside comes into view, if you will. And I need that. I want that because I want to be able to see the corner. And it makes me a faster driver. I don't know why they haven't given us that view, but I hope they include that with the next series and/or an update. And I know that the number 46 Bentley, we've had a few conversations when we've been on track together, and we both say how much we we crave for Assetto Corsa to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be. I mean, there's been so much, so much advancement as well in the last few years that I'm sure Assetto Corsa 2 will be terrific. And as you say, it's getting the right setup, what you feel comfortable in, and even that just takes a bit of time to get your, even just the way that your eye level is over the cockpit, so you can see out a bit better. Makes a massive difference. But I can see as well there's been a drive-through for Jamo.
Yes.
1098. He's at a drive-through, so he's going to take that within 3 laps. He's in the pits now. But that is something. We've also got Kevin Senti 813. Number 34 car, he's 2 laps behind, he's in the pits, and also Anwen is 4 laps. I wonder if he is continuing on or if he's having more problems. But yeah, it's all to play for, but we've still got Lily9 in first place. It's going to be great if he can get a win here. He'll be over the moon with that, done 31 laps, and Lucan is just 26 seconds behind him, and Blecky86 in third, a further 5.7 seconds behind. Then it's Jamo who's in the pits, and now has just lost that fifth, gone down into, in fact he's gone down into 6th place now, because Stewart and Hempy999 have overtaken him. And then there's Professor Bean Flicker in 7th, and Kwabe in 8th as well. Kobe in 8th.
Professor has just had an off through Eau Rouge.
Oh, there we are.
And the front of his Ferrari looks worse for wear, as does his window. God, what a brutal track this is. We're fast closing in on the final sector of the final here for Next Gen Season 3 GT3 World Tour, and we've had all of the leaders of this race cause some serious damage to the GT3 cars.
Yeah, I mean, parts department will be busy. But no, I think these are such hard cars to drive, and to do it for 2 hours, it's a challenge. And every so often, people just have a little blip here and there, and then there's a slight loss of concentration at all it takes, and then they can have an off. But as you say, Stewart's back up into 4th, and he's getting up there. Blackie is in 3rd, but it's a great race to watch. I know that you can see the brake lines going glowing red, but I think they seem to do that right around the whole circuit on this game. But it's fantastic when you watch them in real life and you see these incredible red heat coming off the wheels there. But it's great that we're having such a competitive race. What do you think? Do you think we're going to have a lot of happy drivers at the end of this, or are you going to be thinking people are going to be fed up because they made those mistakes right at the very beginning?
I think we're going to have a complete mixed bag of emotions. I mean, like you say, we've got Blackie back up into 3rd position. Lucan now in 2nd position from all the events that have happened. And, the long haul is most certainly alpha, I suppose, in a race like this. HughHatrick working his way up to P2, obviously having no major issues, no need to go into the pits, no need for drive-thrus, no need to repair, just get in the pits and get out there and do what you do best. 25 seconds away from P1, Lily in the number 9 Bentley, 32 laps down, but he's going to be taking a silver cup for the final here for NXTGEN Season 3 final. So he's going to be absolutely buzzing with that, as is Lily with a P1. But whether they can hold off as the tyre wear with the Pirelli softs begin to deteriorate as we are closing into under 40 minutes of the final stretch. We've got the sun coming back out, so the track's going to be warming back up. The majority of it is still in the shade, so it's not going to be optimum position. We've got 12 degrees ambient and 12 degrees on track, so it's not very warm at all. So again, we've got tyre temps to consider. I would not be surprised if we see another accident or two, especially as we make our way through a rouge. But NXTGEN's Lager Stewart 13 seconds away, hunting down P3 in the number 3 Bentley. Oh no, yes, that's right, 13 seconds away. And Daniel in the 99 Lexus Hempy 4 seconds away from Stewart. Very interesting as they come up towards the bus stop. And Jamo, I don't know whether he's sorted his Ferrari out. No, looks like he's still got a few scrapes in P6. Kobe in P7, so he's worked his way back up to P7.
Yeah, he's got ahead of Green Flicker, so that pit stop time must have helped him, because he's now showing in 7th, and that's going to be close, because it was the other way around from pretty much all of the race, other than the first lap or two before they got their drive-thrus. But we did say it could be close. In fact, now Green Flicker's gone down into 9th place, so hopefully has Kobe got enough to keep him going for the last 40 minutes, or will he have to come in again? But yeah, he's now into 7th, and okay, it's saying he's a little bit behind Jamo in 6th, but you just never know. 40 minutes is still a long time.
Well, 40 minutes is plenty of times to capitalise on 6 seconds, given his previous speeds, but we'll see whether we can take that. Now down to 5.6 seconds as he comes up to turn 1 of Spa. And we have Sakin in P8 in the 14 Honda. The Professor now in P9 with his mistake and having to pay for it. Leafy in the number 18 unforgettable chrome Audi, making his way through Eau Rouge and hunting P7 of Kobe. Of course, we can't forget Kevin, but I think he has retired into the pits and watching the race unfold. So we've got 10 drivers out on track with just over 30 minutes of the race left to go. And that is going to bring the 15 race series and 15, 16, 17 hours full of race time in total for the season. And it looks as though Stewart, if he can continue to hold off Kobe with a pretty decent position, looks like he's a good 35-40% of the track ahead of Kobe as he now makes his way up to turn 1. And Kobe looks like he's now making his way up towards campus, and we'll see exactly whether Stewart can hold on or whether his mistake that he could potentially make is going to mean that Kobe is in for a few more points, because he is only 7 points away from Stewart. So if it stands as it is, then Stewart's taking home that gold, and a well-deserved gold that is, or whether Kobe is able to capitalise. But with 36 minutes to left to go, we can only wait and see.
Yep, you know when they put the commentator's curse on them? And it's, that was the one where he can virtually coast home and take the checkered flag, and you know, he hasn't. But no, it's quite a thing, isn't it? And they're all trying hard. They're all kind of, this is the time, and look at this, as the sunrise is here. They're now driving in the sunlight, which is an awful lot easier. The lights are off, and really it's the last, almost into the last quarter of the race, and it's great to see them pushing so hard. I mean, really, it just seems like they've been just going flat out the whole time, which has been pretty impressive. And you wouldn't think these cars had been on full tanks of fuel. They're being thrown around, but my goodness, they've got that consistency. They've kept going, and now we've done 35 laps, or Lily 9 has just done 35 laps, and there's still not really that much in it overall. You know, there's not that much of a gap, and who knows what can happen. If anyone has any more offs, it could close the pack up even further.
Absolutely.
Of course, in real life as well, the grids of some of these races are huge, aren't they? They're almost like 30 or 40 cars or more, aren't they? Or even someone else say it could take about 60 or 70 cars. It's something incredible for some of the races they do here with the kind of GT series cars.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you what car you don't see much often, and I think it's a very, very serious car when in the right hands, but the Porsche 911.
Yep, that's true. Yep. I think because it's seen as it's hard, and you've got a lot of fast corners here, where you've got to slow down for, and I think people find it really, really tricky to drive.
Yes. I think Kirby Luke coming through one of the corners through Spa there, the loose end just coming a little bit loose, but not losing too much time there as he comes up to the penultimate section of Spa. But yeah, the Porsche GT3 911, I think in the right hands is a very, very capable car of putting down fast lap times, but when I gave the Porsche a go, I found that the window of losing control was very acute compared to others, especially even compared to the Ferrari with its 480 degrees worth of steering lock.
I'll have to try that because that is the thing, isn't it? If you can have such a short lock, it makes a massive difference. I can't remember what setup I've got on that. But the Ferraris, I know they did do well in the race that we had. We kind of thought, that would have been nice to use that car. But I know they can be quite twitchy here and there, but they obviously must have been better going through Eau Rouge, because I remember when I would go through Eau Rouge as quickly as I could, and I would just be, anyone behind me would come past me. It would be very, very hard to keep people behind you going through Eau Rouge. So if they're able to accelerate and keep that speed right the way through, they're going to get such a better top speed as they go along the straight. But I'm beginning to work a little bit more with the aero and the bump settings, just to try and make the car a bit better. For example, we were doing a GT4 race on Thea's stream yesterday, or I was just trying a little bit of qualifying for a Rush Hour series, and we were trying to get into the 137s, it was, because the top guys are doing 135.9s, which is pretty quick. It's in GT4 AMG Mercedes, and everyone has to use that car. But it's funny because when you first do it, you get like a 140, and you think, oh goodness, feels like a dog, you can hardly get the car around a bend, and it won't stop. But once you get into it after a while, I managed to do a 137.5 in the end, and I was only 2/10 off Thea's time, so I was quite chuffed about that. But it's amazing how it takes so much to try and get those little bits of time off and how to gain it. But once you get into that rhythm, you think, oh yeah, there's a few tenths here. If I can just hook all these bends up, it could be a chicane or a slow hairpin. It's amazing what you can start to learn, and these guys obviously play it all the time. They must just, I say, it must be like the muscle memory and all that kind of stuff, so they know how to do it and how to keep going. But who's some of your favourite sim racers at the moment, Matt? Who do you like?
I've been watching a lot of Jardier. He's not my favourite sim racer. I absolutely love the guy. I've got nothing against him at all. I think he's an absolute brilliant guy. I love what he does. His energy is incredible. He's always talking to his chat. So fingers crossed sometime in the future maybe we'll cross paths. But the reason why I'm bringing him up is he is very, very dedicated to the racecraft. His dad got him into racing as a child, and obviously he's dedicated his time to sim racing, streaming every day on the set of Corsa, you know, on all these different cups. And now he's a very quick dude. He's a very knowledgeable dude. You know, he's got his lap time videos. He's doing his streaming videos. He's doing his setup videos. You know, I think he's definitely. There's a lot of YouTubers out there, if I'm honest with you, that I probably need to give more attention to. And this is what I'm actually trying to do, because I understand that it's very difficult to really sort of expose yourself, especially if you're serious about racing and sim racing. But there's a lot of drivers out there that are quick and lovely people, and they do really good hot lap videos with setups. I can't really think of any off the top of my head right now, but you know, you pop them in YouTube, and there's some really good videos. But Jardier obviously is a very well known one. Jimmy Broadbent, everyone knows him, but I can't watch him anymore because the chat's so busy. And I think Jimmy Broadbent, I love Jimmy Broadbent for the sole purpose of he is what I am all about. He plays games to enjoy them. He doesn't care, and that's what I'm about. You know, yes, I want to be competitive and I do care, but he's all about having a laugh, and that's what I love about him. But he's not serious. He is serious, you know, it's black and white, but he's not like, you know, Jardier in the sense where he's, you know, really knuckling down on lap times and how can we get them extra tenths. And, you know, the last video I watched from Jardier, you know, he was really talking through with regards to, okay, so we've got this, I think it was Spa, you know, tune your spoiler down, so you're not going to go through the corners as quick, but you can change the setup and the suspension setup so you can go through the corners as quick, but you've also got lower downforce, so when you're on the straights, you'll go quicker there. And from the beginning of his laps to the end of his laps, he made 0.6 of a second per lap just from his setup, and he was explaining how and why. But you know, 0.6 of a second over 2 hours worth of racing. Can you imagine? It's a lot of time.
Oh yeah. And if you can be consistent in that as well, I mean that gives you a massive boost. I mean, for me, see, I love GT4 cars, especially in Gran Turismo, and I normally tend to be a wee bit stronger in them. But like at Nürburgring GP track this week, I'm still a long way off. They're doing like 202s and into 203s quite easily, you know, in the top 10. And I'm struggling with a low 205, you know. So there's areas, there's a lot of kind of curbs you can take that I mustn't be using. But on some of the other tracks, I'm a lot closer, like Autopolis and a few others I seem to do quite well. But it's that jump from going from that class to GT4 and the GT3, which is a whole different way of driving the car and being competitive. And yeah, you kind of, with this game though, you kind of think, well, there must be ways, because it's much tighter. For example, on ACC, you know, they're much stricter for track limits and things like that. So I like that, because then that means that people can't really take advantage of it. You've got to be able to drive properly and just work out where they're carrying the speed. So it's good. And so, yeah, as you say, 6 tenths over a whole race, it makes a massive difference.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know, sort of going off what I'm trying to do with my Discord and my channel and growing it and that kind of thing. I'm all about finding fast people, and they don't need to be fast as long as they're clean and they want to be there for a good time. That's enough. But you know, finding fast people that are, you know, looking to get involved with races like this, and you know, be able to do what, you know, you and me are doing, commentary. You know, every single one of these drivers watching, I would assume after by the morning there'll be over 100 views, minimum, and it creates what people want, I suppose. You know, we've got a final, we've had a season, we've got everyone, you know, they're all across the world, you know, they're all behind the sim rigs and they're all racing it out here on a digital laser scan Spa, and I just find it incredible. I think it's absolutely incredible. that we're here and we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah. No, it's quite something, isn't it? It's amazing that I just think, the fact that we're watching a lobby, and you think of all the detail that's gone into that. Even when you think, even 20 years ago, just trying to make a game where you could play a single player and you could actually watch your own race, but now we're able to watch everybody's race and change angles and all sorts of stuff, and choose which person we want. The detail's incredible in these games, and you're just going to think, how much better can they make it? And obviously, if you use the PC version, you get a bit better graphics here and there. But when GT7 comes out, or when the PS5 gets their version of Assetto Corsa Competizione, when they eventually get updates and things, it's going to be even better. And it's just amazing what they can do. So yeah, watching these kind of races is great fun. Of course, it's even better being able to take part. Are you going to be taking part in any big races soon?
Well, I have started to get into it a lot more myself, because when I got into all of this, like I mentioned to you, it was all about Gran Turismo 7, and then I moved on to this. Initially, felt the difference and realised why people kept banging on about it and kept saying it's nothing like Gran Turismo, and it gave me the bug. But I found it sort of quite hard. And again, I mentioned to you with regards to the Fibro, it was difficult to make all of the races. So obviously I love this. I love connecting with people all around the world and people like yourself doing what we're doing here, and it keeps me involved. But getting back into it, getting back behind the wheel is something that I'm absolutely doing. And the number 46 Bentley, he does a lot of races or a lot of seasons. He races with me, races with GLI, races for Race Club. He's invited me to race with the Race Club. I did the first race with them last Tuesday. Supposed to race with them yesterday, but I was recording a band at my studio and I wasn't back in time. But it's getting me behind the wheel, it's getting me more experience, which is what I love. And I need to get behind the wheel a lot more, because the commentaries sort of took over 90% of it at the beginning. So my driving time is 90% less than everyone else that I sort of drive with and compete with. So I've got a lot of hours that I need to put into this game to be able to hang with these boys, because it's demoralising. Racing with yourself.
Yeah, because that's what they say with this game. Doesn't it start off with the AI? Because they're not forgiving at all. You can have quite difficult and challenging setups, or have lots of other cars on the track, and then you've got to try and keep up close with them, learn how the car behaves, and then try not to bump anybody. And that's difficult. And of course, here on the warm-up lap, you go through people sometimes, and you're warming up your car, and nothing happens. Try doing that in iRacing though, and you end up hitting them for real, and you'll ruin your race. But no, it's an impressive game, this, in all respects. And we've got some great guys. In fact, I'm just looking at the results here, the current tables, and Stewart, who's in 4th place, is now just 6.5 seconds behind Blackie86, who's in 3rd. So he is catching. So in these last 23 minutes, could we see him get back on the podium? There's not an awful lot in it overall between the top 4. It's not impossible. If anyone has a problem, there could really be a few changes of positions as we get into the closing minutes of this. Well, it's been a fantastic race.
It's been an incredible race. We've had an incredible turn of events. We've got number 46 Bentley in my favourite position, P4, now chasing podium glory. We'll see whether he can knock Blackie off the podium. But we are fast closing in with just over 20 minutes left to go. We've got the number 98 Ferrari of Jamo behind the number 7 Ferrari of Kobe, only 0.8 of a second. The battle for P6 as they make their way and hurtle towards Eau Rouge. Fast closing in on the final sector. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be a part
of the Next Gen Season 3 GT3 World Tour. It's been a pleasure to be a part of this 2-hour epic. It's been a pleasure to share this with, I'm going to have to call you a legendary co-commentator. I think you've got that you've got that commentator voice, so I think it's worthy of the title. But
that's very kind.
Very excited to bring it to a close. And yeah, go on.
Some people might say it's a face for radio, you know. I know it's just good fun, and you know, when you get a really exciting race, even if you get a dull race, you can still make something with it, you know, because there's always something happening. There's always something you can think of, and then, you know, go into discussions about racing and all sorts. But yeah, no, I mean, I think these races are really good. And I was just going to say, I mean, it was something like a 15 race championship. And was it every week, or is it even more than that, or is it once a week for the months of the summer, kind of coming to a close?
Yeah, it's usually once a week, and then when they get halfway through the season, I think they have a week's break. I know that it's usually like £1. I think if it was entry fee, it's £1 a race or whatever, or you'd pay the £15 for the 15 races at the beginning, which I think is good, because obviously, you know, it costs for the server and it keeps people a little bit more focused and interested.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's had an off. 98 Ferrari just missing out on Hempy in the 99 Lexus.
No, it looks like, has he gone back on?
P5 to P7 to P9, I think. Got Leafy now.
Kobe's up into 5th.
Letting Leafy
and
pass.
Green Flicker's still in 9th, so he's struggled. Well, Kobe is up into 5th, so there must have been. I know they both came in for pit stops, not too far away from each other. But Kobe this time has seemed that he's had a much better second half of the race than Bean Flicker, who has maybe struggled a bit. But certainly he's in. In fact, I'm just saying, they're both in Ferraris. But there's a big difference between their positions there. So yeah, it's certainly been, in fact, now about 23, 24 seconds at least, if not more. So Kobe is getting there, and of course Stewart's just 3.5 seconds now behind Lecky in 3rd place. Could he possibly get that back? There's still just under 20 minutes to go. But at this rate, I think it's maybe possible.
It most certainly is. 3.6 seconds away from a podium glory. The Bentley seems to have done very well today. Up at there at the top 4, 3 Bentleys in between a Lexus. Lucan doing an incredible job today. I don't know whether I've seen the 316 Lexus flash with the little yellow icon. And that has paid off. I'm going to give the 316 Lexus a P2 podium with just over 18 minutes left to go. Giamo a 0.2 away from Kobe. We've got a bit of a battle here as the final 18 minutes are underway, and my good God, are they battling it out for P6. And I was expecting Kobe and Stewart to be fighting it out under the final sectors, but we've got the 2 Ferraris, number 7 and 98, hard on the brakes into the bus stop. A horrible corner indeed. Is Giamo able to get a good exit here against the beast from the east, the number 7 Ferrari? And now up to turn 1. Is the 98 Ferrari going to get a better run out here? And a pressure Kobe up towards Eau Rouge. Both cars looking like they've got a pretty decent exit, but the number 98 Ferrari has got slipstream as they continue to hurtle their way into Eau Rouge. As we can see, the number 5 and the number 6 LCDs flash on the left side of their window screens. And it looks like Giamo is most certainly putting a fight on to Kobe.
It's next to nothing in it, less than half a second now. But, And we're looking at Stewart as well. He's only 2.8 seconds behind third, so he's bit by bit, he's bringing that time down.
Incredible racing. This is what we wanted to see right at the end. We've got a battle for P5. Battle for P5 just behind Stewart, with a battle for P3, and we've most certainly got a fight for dignity here between the two Ferraris and the two Bentleys, which is interesting to say the least. Just over 16 minutes left of racing left to go here at Spa, and I believe that for season 2 probably a similar setup and event, but we've most certainly had an incredible series of standings with the next gen drivers, and it looks as though Stewart, if able to hold on, because Kobe isn't that far behind, it only takes that mistake, but they're coming up to the bus stop. The two Ferraris are still battling it out. We've got a bit of deja vu here again with the two Ferraris as they unleash all 600 horsepower up to turn 1 and back down to Eau Rouge, and the number 46 only 1.5 seconds away from Blecky in P3. Is he going to knock him off that podium spot with 15 minutes left to go? Only 1.5 seconds left to capitalise on. It looks as though he probably will be able to do this. But we'll see whether Blecky can hold him off, take that racing line, take the defensive line. We are going to see, but I think Stewart is well and truly in the flow now here at Spa with only 15 minutes left to go. What a race.
It's incredible how quickly now they're down to just 1.2 seconds. So he's definitely piling on the pressure and seeing him in his sights. And it's this is the yellow Bentley. And then we've got the Bentley of Stewart there, the kind of wonderful kind of bronze front, black at the back. I love the way they do these liveries, and I suppose you can say livery or livery depending what you pronounce it as. But no, it's fantastic. And yep, they're closing up all the time. I think the next lap or two will we see a manoeuvre. We need that thing like they have in F1 that says the chance of an overtake is like 40% or less or whatever. You know, it's because it looks like it's getting closer and closer, and of course you've got to wonder if Blecky's thinking, no, my tyres all right, is my fuel okay, am I having to lift and coast, am I having to watch all that, am I changing settings? Yeah, at this point they're well on their end of their second kind of stint. We're not too far away, and the car, it's light with fuel, but that can mean that it gets a bit dodgy, it can get a bit more twitchy. But yeah, it's going to be exciting, and look at that, there's now under a second, just 9/10 in it, and as they come up the hill, Stewart's going, he's saying I'm there, I'm making a mistake, and I'll be right through, but he's going to watch as he comes into the right and the left, and then into the right again, because that's a tricky bit there, getting the braking done properly. He's using all that curve and a wee bit more, and then of course this off camber right-hander as you go around against a solo so long, and he's managing to hold on to that curve, which is pretty good, and then into the fast left-hander, and they start going down the hill. I think they're down towards Pouhon, isn't it? I think this one. But yeah, there's not much in it. In fact, it's down to just 0.6 of a second. It is really it's getting as close as that. Now I think as they come through the latter stages of this lap, he's almost coming in as they come into the right and the left. There's nothing in it at all. All the pressure's there. I think we're going to see a move at the bus stop chicane. They're lining up. Stewart has got Becky in his sights, and they're look at that! They're nearly side by side.
Right, left, right, straight.
Yep.
Taking it flat. Well, it's got the inside line, which means
That is a very wide exit.
It's gone really wide. Oh, well, he got past him.
Yeah.
But I wonder whether he'll get a track limits, but will it say no time gained, or will he have to give it back? I think he's giving the position back. Some gentlemanly driving there, perhaps, or are they going to fight for it coming through the start-finish? Look at that, it's a great picture. Look at that, into the is it Lecum?
A little bit of contact.
Oh.
Looks like they both wanted to take that position, but it looks like the 46 Bentley has taken podium position away from Blecky. But Blecky looks like he's got a good run here. Is he able to stay on the throttle? A little bit wide. Just losing out on
it's
pace.
So tricky though when you're close up behind coming through Eau Rouge, getting those, you know, the right turning points, braking points. It's really tricky.
And Igor in chat, come on Blecky, don't give up. Podium is yours. Well, he is still within pouncing range with just over 10 minutes left to go of a 2-hour endurance race for the Next Gen Season 3 GT3 World Tour finale. 2-hour special here at Spa. And my good God, have you all been treated to some action today with what a roller coaster of emotions. We've had some cars spin off, we've had some near-death experiences hitting the walls from Eau Rouge, and it appears as though the 46 Bentley laughing at the beginning with what happened perhaps, but also suffering a spin and needing to recapitalise on that time lost, but he is able to do so and take position 3 away from Blecky, but Blecky is still within the hunt. He's still within slipstream range and able to take P3 back.
Oh, gone pretty wide there.
I was watching him and rooting for Blecky.
Yeah, look how fast they kind of race past the camera as they come down towards the bus stop now. This is where I always remember Button and Vettel had a big crash down at the bus stop when Vettel tried to, I think he just outbraked himself and went into Button and ruined his race. I think Button was leading at the time, or doing quite well. There have been so many great races here. I also remember the big race with Hamilton and Massa here back in 2008 when it was wet and people were going over the curbs and cutting corners and getting all sorts of yellow flags, and eventually, although Hamilton won that race, it got taken off him. He got disqualified, or he got a penalty, and in the end Massa got it. But it was so touch and go.
Wow.
It was an incredible. If you want to see a great highlights one, go onto YouTube and search for the 2008 Spa Grand Prix. That was in the moment. It was towards the end. It was just incredible. And then I think it was Rubens Barrichello came in for the full wet tyre because it started to absolutely chuck it down, and he made up, I think, about 4 or 5 places on the last lap because he came in for an inspired pit stop, and it completely changed his. But he got right back in the race. But no, it's got such an incredible history here. Of course, the track is much shorter than it used to be in the original days of Spa. It was really, really long and even more dangerous. But yes, they shortened it up and made the track as we have it today. I remember the pit lane used to come in much earlier. Now before the bus stop chicane, it was much earlier. And I think Alesi, when he was driving, was it for Sauber, had a colossal shunt. It was either that or it was the Benetton, where he basically lost all his wheels as he outbraked himself coming into the pits, and it was some shunt, that one. And basically, I'm sure it had only one wheel left on it when he came kind of into the pits like that. But no, it's an incredible place, and I think you're always going to get a good race here.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I've spent a lot of hours on this over the past sort of 3 hours driving it myself, because I just it's one thing commentating, but I really do want to get a real feel for what these guys have to go through, and what an incredible race this actually has been. And obviously temperatures are back up to 27 degrees now, 20 degrees ambient temperature, and we have the race leader Lely, the number 9
Bentley now coming up to the back marker of the number 18 Audi Leafy in the chrome green. Audi, and it appears Next Gen Lager's got 6 seconds to make up to Lucan. See, I wouldn't be surprised, but that is an ask. With 3.7 seconds ahead of Lecky now. And Simon, Jerry in chat, Hill versus Schumacher versus Brundle 1995. Good race.
Yeah. I'm trying to think how many times Alesi in 95, if he led races and then either his car gave up and the ghost before he could win them, but if he'd been able to finish in that position, he would have won the title, because Hill kept taking out Schumacher and the other way around in 95.
Yeah.
But the Ferrari reliability cost Alesi, because of course he won his first and only ever Grand Prix in Canada that year, and I remember being so excited, seeing, because I was a big Alesi fan, and seeing him cross the line, and similarly had tears coming down his visor because he was stimming up, because on his slowdown lap he was that emotional, as only Alesi could have been, and of course he'd won, and I think he either ran out of petrol or something, and it was not Mansell gave him a lift back to the pits. So not Mansell, it was somebody gave him a lift back to the pits, I think, in 95. But no, it was absolutely an amazing thing. But those were incredible years, and I think every era is like that. I think this year we're being treated to some phenomenal races. But and I'm looking forward to this week, because it's the Formula One in Austin. Was it the City of the Americas or something? No, what's the one that the COTY stands for? I think that's a great track. That's always good. And similarly, if you go and visit that race, you've got to go and get a Texas steak when you visit, because that's what they're famous for, these great steakhouses over in Austin, Texas. But yeah, no, it's I think I'm just hoping, as COVID hopefully heads on its way, that we'll continue to see every kind of bit of motorsport open up and more crowds being able to get to these great events.
Yes, they reopened it a little bit for the British GT, which was good. Obviously went down to be able to see them. It was anywhere near as busy as it could have been, probably like maybe 10-20% capacity, but still open. But I think after this winter, I'm sure there's going to be another set of rules, but not that we need to get into that. But I think after this winter, hopefully it'll be slackened off a little bit. But Simon says it was Schumacher that gave him a lift back.
Was it Schumacher? That's who it was. Yeah, I was trying to remember who it was, but it was an awesome scene, and because I always remember, was it 91 when Senna's car stopped on the last lap and Mansell gave him a lift. In fact, I used that picture yesterday in my stream when I was doing GT Sport, and that was an amazing thing to watch, because he pulled over and then Senna jumped into just on the side of his cockpit and gave him a tap on the head on his helmet there to say, "I'm ready to go." And that was it, But that was incredible. They were something. And I remember also, was it 92 when Mansell won in Silverstone, and he ran over somebody in the crowd, and he was interviewed at the end saying that he ran over a fan, but they didn't seem to mind, because they completely crowded out the car. It was just thousands of people on the track, and he couldn't do anything, and he ran somebody over, but obviously not a major run over, but yeah, he just laughed saying they didn't seem to mind. But they were, of course, in those days you could do that. Now they've kind of closed everything off, other than kind of Monza, when the race is finished there, everybody runs up onto the track, and of course you get that incredible victory parade on the start-finish straight there at Monza, isn't it, when they bring the car over the track, and it looks incredible. But in fact, we've got a couple of commentators who are going to be there in a week or two's time. I think it's the end of this month. They're heading off to Monza. Chaz Draycott and Chris McCarthy, and they're going to be guests on the show later on. It's going to be early November time, on the 6th of November. So if you're not doing Bonfire Night, make sure you catch up with us from 9 o'clock. But here we are. We've got 2 minutes to go, and roughly exactly a lap left. Or maybe 2 laps, or when it goes to 0, they'll be on the last one, but it hasn't said on the on the radio whether or not it's the last lap yet, but Lecky 9 is coming in after 49 laps, and he's in first place, and HughHatrick is in second.
49 laps. Jesus,
and now,
actual Christ.
Somebody's gone wide, the 18 car, number 18, Leafy GTI, but I think he's back on the track, but they're all catching up.
Well, that means that the 46, I don't know whether he's given a little bit of a window. I don't know whether Lucan was caught up with a little bit of traffic, and that maybe given Stewart a 10th or 2, but he has also got that car to work through. But we have only got 90 seconds left to go. We've also got Leafy now.
Yeah, he's getting out of the way a bit, but to be fair, he has gone wide. He's gone wide to give Stewart a chance. But it's 3.8 seconds. I mean, of course, because although Stewart had those issues when he had the spin, but it didn't put him in the pits, thankfully. So he was quite fortunate there. But to be only 3.8 seconds away, with probably less than a lap to go, it's going to be exciting.
Most certainly a 3.8 second deficit from P3 for P2, but what an incredible race nevertheless. Professor Bean on P9, Lee crossing that start finish, and now triggering the last lap for Next Gen's Season 3 GT3 World Tour. And I don't think that Next Gen quite has it.
Got one lap to go.
This is it, yeah.
He's taken 6/10 out of him, mind you, in that one section. And when you start to see the car in front getting closer, you just never know. And Lucan might be thinking, oh, I'd rather disappear like Lord Lucan now. I don't want Stewart behind me, but but here we go, the last lap.
Well, I'm not sure how this has happened, but we've got Kobe, even though he's in P6, now battling it out with Lely in P1, and it's going to be interesting. We'll see whether we can take him in this last lap, but we are fast closing in on finishing round 15 at Spa for the Next Gen Season 3 GT3 World Tour. Under the total sign do they go.
Safely through Eau Rouge. Now it was 3.2, I think it's down to 2.7. Did I see a flag there? Did I see a yellow flag or no? It's must just be a crazy spectator coming down into the right-hander, but he's taking chunks out of the time. It's going to be a close finish.
Absolutely, and I think Stewart's doing an incredible job yet again, and give him another few laps and he might have even took the glory of P2 away from the 316 Lexus. But we've got the number 9 and the number 7, Kobe and Lily, coming up to the bus stop. 7 just running a little bit too wide into the bus stop, which means that the number 9, 50 laps in, crossing that start finish line for Next Gen Season 3 GT3 World Tour, taking P1 first on the podium, and Kobe taking a P6. We've got Lucan and Next Gen's Lager just in the background in this camera shot, now coming up to the penultimate corners here at Spa, onto the long straight. Even though there are corners, it's still a straight, but flat to the floor, making sure we clip that apex. Coming up to the bus stop is the 316 and the 46 Bentley, hard on the brakes. Then we're going to spin out, we're going to change of hands. It doesn't look that way. And Lucan crossing that start finish line, as is the 46 Bentley taking P2.
Oh, there wasn't much in that though.
Not at all. Another lap.
7/10 out of him in that bus stop chicane. So it was in the end just 1.5 seconds after 2 hours. That's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
Very, very impressive indeed. And now Blecky. Oh no, Blecky! He's lost control on the final corner of the 2-hour race at Spa. Does he realise? I don't think he realises he hasn't finished. There we go, he's going. I don't know if he was doing donuts and then realised that he hasn't finished the lap. He's in P4. 69 Professor crossing that line. Number 14 Sakin crossing that line. We've just got Jam in the 98 Ferrari in P5, but next to cross that line. But that means that Lily P9 taking a gold for the 2-hour race here at Spa, and Lucan running an incredible race, showing what consistency does. And Stewart, who I am going to assume, maybe not assume, but know that he is the championship. Just trying to back out, and where are we? Blimmin' heck. Championship winner over 15 rounds.
So Stewart is the championship winner.
Stewart is the championship winner. I'm going to assume that Kobe in the number 7, I'm just going to check right now, in the number 7 Ferrari is second. He had 233 points. Stewart had 240, so that's going to be P1 and P2. Lily in P1 had 131 points, so P1 and P2 go to those guys. Hankin was 231 points, which is 100 points ahead of Lely in the number 9 Bentley, so I don't know whether he's also took P3 for the series standings. Professor being 192 points, that's going to put him in P4, and Jammo with 189 points in P6. He's finished in P5. That's probably going to put him in P5 for the standings. And Lucan in P6. I don't know whether he might even come P4 or 5, but we're going to have to wait and see. But congratulations to Lili even. Congratulations to Lucan and Stewart for running incredible races, and of course a big thank you to HughHatrick, who has joined us for this epic final 2-hour race for NXTGEN.
It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been really, really good, and well done to all the competitors, and well done especially to Lily 9 there, the number 9 car, the Bentley, for completing this race, winning it, and really, I mean, keeping incredibly consistent. And it's fantastic to see a great result. It's been a great race from the word go, and the 2 hours have flown in. I'm sure the next championship will be just as good. But enjoy the celebrations and the prizes. For the top 3, get some pretty good prizes, and I'm sure we'll be ready to help out again if required in the future. But thanks very much, Matt. It's been a fantastic night.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you Saturday.
Will do. Thank you. Bye just now.
Ciao, ciao. Okie doke, well, that's going to bring this stream to a close again, and congratulations to Lely, God's sake, in the number the number 9 Bentley. Very well done indeed. Most certainly one to watch for season 2 of NXTGEN's. Sorry, season 4. Season 2 for me. Season 4 for NXTGEN. And keep an eye out and an ear out for the beginning of that season. Of course, if you are looking to join and you are looking to race, compete, or get involved in any way that you can, even co-commentary is on the cards, then please get in touch. NXTGEN don't have a Discord, they are on Facebook, but of course if you are on TMK Racing 444's Discord, working very closely with them, hoping to work with them for the grid for season 4, going to be doing commentary, and yeah, going to make that one an exciting one. Yeah, big shout out to Stuart, Simon and Micro in chat, giving their love to Stuart in the 46 Bentley with an incredible race, and well deserved. A big shout out to everyone that's joined in the race and competed and stuck the 2-hour race out. Big shout out to all you guys, and of course thank you to everyone in chat. We'll see you for season 4 of Next Gen's GT3 World Tour, and for anyone else looking to see you on next stream, we've got some more streams on myself coming up. We've got the HughHatrick's Gran Turismo HH TCR. You want to see a few members in here. Driving on Saturday at 8 PM. I'll be commentating for that, and then we have the Macabre Cup Season 2 Round 2 in teams at Monza this Sunday at 7:30, 8 PM. But thank you to everyone that's watched. We've been treated to an incredible race, haven't we? We've been treated to some a roller coaster of emotions, ups and downs. It's been incredible. Thank you to everyone that's invited me along to the Next Gen series. I really do hope you've enjoyed the added drama of commentary. I hope you've enjoyed today's very incredibly epic stream with the 2-hour endurance. Thank you very much to everyone, and we'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.